Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Odoo webinar. I am excited to be your host today. My name is Lewis Mwangi, and I am a business analyst here at Odoo. As a business analyst, I get to evaluate our clients' business processes, configure the software in such a way that meets their specific needs, and eventually train the end users on how to use the system to manage their day-to-day operations. In today's webinar, we are going to talk about the integration between Odoo and eTIMS. And the goal is to basically demonstrate and show you how this is supposed to work. So allow me to now take you to the agenda of today's meeting, basically how I have structured this webinar. And so there it is. This is the agenda of today's webinar. This is how I have structured it. In the first 5 to 10 minutes, I'll begin by introducing Odoo and also introducing eTIMS. I'll then spend the next 30 to 40 minutes taking you through how this integration is supposed to work. I'll go to an Odoo database and show you how the different flows are supposed to work, show you the new features that have been introduced by eTIMS, and eventually, in the last part of this webinar, I will handle any questions that you will have asked in the chat section. So I think at this point, feel free to raise any questions that you have in our chat section, and we will surely be able to respond to them. So basically, to the first part of this webinar, what is Odoo? Odoo is a sort of business applications that you can use to run the different aspects of your business. Odoo is user-friendly, it's intuitive, it is an out-of-the-box solution, and it is as easy as WhatsApp, I would say. Another feature of Odoo is that it is accessible either from the cloud, meaning that you can access it from anywhere, and also you can be able to download our community version and have it in your device. Another feature of Odoo is that it can be able, it is customizable. It is an open source solution, meaning that it gives room for scalability. By this, I mean, as your business grows, you're able to customize it to meet your specific needs. Odoo can be used in different devices. This includes the iOS, Android, and you can also be able to access it from our browser. What you can see here are the different applications that we have in Odoo. These are just some of them. You can see we have accounting that you can use to manage your accounting operations. From accounting, you can be able to see your financial statements. We have the sales application as well at the bottom. We have inventory, manufacturing, and so many more. And the good thing with these applications is that they are integrated. What integration means is that they're able to communicate to one another. And the benefit of this to your business is that it ensures that your operations are seamless in the sense that you do not need to also purchase different softwares to run the different aspects of your business. So basically, that's just a bit of context about what Odoo is, the application itself, and also how the different applications work together. Odoo is a multinational company. We have 19 offices worldwide. These offices are in different continents, and right now I'm in one of the offices, which is in Nairobi. Can also say that we have over 4,500 employees, and I'm also proud to say that we have more than 12 million happy clients. So I would also like to give a bit of context about eTIMS. I will start with the acronym eTIMS. eTIMS means Electronic Tax Invoice Management System. eTIMS is a software solution that is used for electronic invoicing. Just to give also a bit of background about eTIMS. So before, in the year 2005, the government introduced ETR devices. So these ETR devices have been used by various businesses to do their invoices. Previously, for ETR and TIMS devices, it was required that only the VAT registered traders were supposed to use them. But it's worth mentioning that with eTIMS, not only VAT registered traders are required to use them, but anyone in business must onboard eTIMS and issue electronic invoices. That is a very important point to mention because when it comes to exemptions do not relate to businesses. They relate to certain transactions, including air ticketing and emoluments and other forms of transactions that are exempt from eTIMS. It's also worth mentioning that the deadline to onboard on eTIMS was the 31st of March 2024, meaning that as of today, anyone in business, be it a company or an individual, is supposed to be onboarded on eTIMS and issuing electronic invoices. Why is eTIMS important to us? Why are we even having this discussion? Why is eTIMS a subject matter? So these are some of the reasons why you should consider onboarding eTIMS. One, as I've said, it's because of compliance purposes. All businesses are required to be using eTIMS. Another reason, or also another benefit that comes as a result of using eTIMS is because it reduces your compliance costs. What this means is that previously with the other solutions such as ETR and TIMS, you had to buy a device that I would say was a bit expensive, but then with the eTIMS solution, it is free and you are therefore able to comply without having to incur any cost. Finally, another aspect of eTIMS is that it has different solutions. One of them being what we call OSCU. OSCU means Online Sales Control Unit. Why I'm mentioning this solution is because it allows for system-to-system integration, meaning that using an ERP solution such as Odoo, you are able to integrate to eTIMS and be able to carry on your business seamlessly. So basically, talking about integration, I think it is at this point that we now go to the demonstration. I will take you to the Odoo database and basically show you how this integration is supposed to work. Okay, so this is the Odoo database. This is the home page. In front of me or in front of you, we have different applications. You can see the sales application, dashboards, accounting, website, purchases, and so many more. These are the different applications that we just talked about. These applications are integrated and they are used to manage the different aspects of your business. From the home page, you can see that on the top right, we have the company that is connected to this database. It is called Company A, and the A initial, that means, again, you are able to access more features relating to this particular database. If I click on the company, you're able to see more branches linked to this particular company. So this is a scenario whereby we have a company that also has different branches, I would say, in different sections of Kenya, for example. We also have other scenarios where you still in one database, you can have several companies. And this is mostly applicable for group scenarios where we have the main company and subsidiaries, probably in different parts all over the world or in different countries all over the world. So now that we are in the home page, we first need to set up the database in such a way that it will allow for this integration. So how do we do that? First of all, I'll take you to the applications app. And from here, I'm able to type eTIMS. So when I do that, I'm able to see these three modules. So these are the three modules that you must have in your database for this integration to work. You can see, for example, the manufacturing module is linked to manufacturing, meaning that if you do not do manufacturing, then you do not have to install this particular module. In my case, I've already installed them. There's also a scenario where maybe you might miss these modules. If that is the case, then you have to come to this menu item called Update Apps List. Once you click on it, it will be able to update some of the modules or some of these eTIMS modules that could be missing in your database. So that is the first step. Once you do that, we can now proceed to the next step, which is going to the company's profile. As we said, this database is linked to a company. What I've done is that I've gone to settings just to show you the whole process. I go to settings and then to users, companies. So I'm able to see my company and the branches linked to this particular company. I'll click on that. This is the company, and then I have the branches here. We will talk more about these branches once we get to how you are supposed to handle this integration on the KRA side or on the eTIMS side. But at this point, what is important is that once you have this company, you also need to enter the KRA PIN. Why is the KRA PIN important? Is because once you enter this, once you've installed the modules and then you enter this KRA PIN here, the system automatically generates a serial number. As you can see on the right section, so this we call it the charter section. You can see that we have the serial number linked to this particular database. That is important. And the serial number follows a certain format. You can see the name Odoo, your KRA PIN, and then code 0123, depending with the branch code that is assigned to the company. Talking of branch code, what you notice is that just below the KRA PIN, we have branch code 00. If I go to these branches, then they will have different branch codes, 01, 02, 03, all the way. So the codes are important because, as you can see here, they are used to define the serial number. Why is the serial number important? Because the next step, once you do this, is that you are supposed to make sure that you have registered on eTIMS. That is easy. In the KRA website, they provide clear guidelines on how you're supposed to go about that. Once you're able to register, they give you the option to make a service request, and that is where the serial number comes in. So basically, the service request is to inform KRA that actually you want to do this integration and that you will using this solution that we call the OSCU that allows for this system-to-system integration. So this is one of the details, among many other details that they'll require in that service request, including the details of the directors, the details of the companies, the type of solution that you are using. So also still in that form, they will ask about the integrator. In this case, the integrator is Odoo. It's also worth mentioning that Odoo is a certified third-party integrator. So in that form where you're supposed to make the service request, you will enter the details of Odoo. That is the name of Odoo. You will also be required to enter the KRA PIN of Odoo. So all these details are accessible in the eTIMS documentation that we've also made available. KRA doesn't take much time. They actually respond fast to approve this particular service request. And once they approve, it means that you can now go ahead and do what we call initialization. Initialization is basically now actualizing the connection between Odoo and eTIMS. And I will show you how that works. I'll go to General Settings and then to Accounting. So on my left, you can see the different applications that I've installed in this database. So now that I'm in accounting, I can just come here and type eTIMS. I will see this eTIMS section. It's called the eTIMS server mode. We have different server modes, including demo, test, and production. Test, as the name says, it's for test purposes, just to test the integration, whether it's working. And then production, once you feel that you are ready to actually start remitting or sending your invoices to eTIMS via Odoo, it's at that point that you now come and click production. So in my case, or in this particular database, I've already done the initialization, but just to give you an idea of how this will be like is that the serial number will be auto-populated. So meaning you won't have to enter this. As we said, this is filled when you do what? When you enter the KRA PIN. And then the code 0, we said that means the branch code. The unit ID and the CMC key are automatically populated once you click on a smart button that is supposed to be below these terms. You can see that we have terms here that you're supposed to check for you to proceed with the initialization. So in your case, if you've already not done the initialization, so let me just check one branch here, just to give you an idea of what you will see when you are doing the initialization for the first time. I'll just type eTIMS. So this is a good example. In this case, we already have the unit ID, but we do not have the CMC key. So if I was to go ahead with initialization, all I need to do is to click on this smart button, and then these details will be auto-populated. So that is all you have to do. Once these details auto-populate, then that's a sign that actually you've been able to successfully do the initialization. So having done that, it means that now the connection between eTIMS and Odoo will be a success. So now to the next step of this demo. We've done the creation of companies. We've entered the KRA PIN. We've also created an eTIMS portal. We've made the service request. KRA has approved that service request. So what are the next steps? The fact that we installed these eTIMS modules introduced some new features in our database that were never there before. I'm sure this will be noticeable for existing clients, but for new clients, it's also worth mentioning and actually taking you through them. So we will do a sales and a purchase flow, but before we do that, let us first create a product, or basically take you to the inventory application to show you the products that you already have and some of the new features that have been introduced by eTIMS. So I'm now in the inventory application. So this is the application that we use to manage our stock for sales, purchases, and even internal adjustments. You can see we have products here. So I'll just click on this products menu item. These are the products that I have. There are several here. So I'll just click on one. So this is the product template. This is where you're able to create a product, define all the features relating to that particular product. So this is the name of the product. We have the price. We also have the cost. So something that eTIMS has introduced is that for you to be able to send these invoices to Odoo, your product needs to have a cost. So you need to define the cost first. If you don't do that, then the system will highlight that using a yellow banner, as we will see in the demo as we proceed. So that is the general information tab. In the accounting tab, so this is the only, I would say, one of the new ways in which the system is working as a result of eTIMS, that you are required to enter a cost. That is, if you are to send an invoice where that product is related. In the accounting tab, we have more eTIMS. We have an eTIMS tab or an eTIMS section. This is where you are basically supposed to fill in all these details. You can see the packaging unit. What this means is this is how the supplier probably packages the product as they are selling them to you. Then the packaging quantity of that particular package. How many do you have? For example, in this case, I receive my books in a bundle that has 42 books in them. And then the origin of these books. So where do you purchase them from? The product type, we have different product types. We'll just see that. Raw materials, finished products, and also we have what we call the UNSPSC category. So this is basically an international standard of naming products. It stands for United Nations Standards Product and Services. You can see that we have different categories here. So all these things you do not have to figure them out or to have them maybe straight out of your head. If you just come and search for whichever category you think your product belongs to, you'll be able to find them here and you can be able to fill that. So to be more practical, let's create a new product and call it Ruler 1. So that's the name of the product. I'll go back to the general information tab. I will assign a price to this product, let's say 7 bob. And I will also assign a cost. Say that this is probably 3 shillings. Just save that. We'll go to the accounting tab. So you have the option to fill in all these other details. Just change this and then the rest I can leave them as they are. I'll go to the accounting tab and this is where I'm supposed to now fill in all these details. So for example, I can say that I receive my rulers in a bucket. For example, this bucket contains maybe 50 of these rulers. The country of origin is Kenya. I purchased them locally. The product type is that this is a finished product. It is not a service, so say it's a finished product. And then I also have the option to enter this particular category, and I'll just start typing and say that this is stationery. So once I do that, I can just confirm that by saving manually. I also have the option to save this item. So let's click on save item and see what we get. So as you know, with eTIMS, your products need to be registered first for you to be able to remit invoices where these products are involved. And whatever products you register in your database, they're also reflecting in your portal, as we will be able to see once we go into the portal. So saving the item is supposed to assign a KRA item code. Notice that I didn't fill anything in the KRA item code. So what you notice is that, and this might occur sometimes as you use the integration between Odoo and eTIMS, is that this timeout error might occur. This is something that KRA is aware of, and they are actually working on it. They did admit that yesterday. And yeah, so in case this happens, just know that it's something that is being worked on by KRA, and you can just leave it as it is at the moment and maybe try again later. So talking about the KRA item code, I would like to show you one of the products where the registration was a success. So if the registration goes through, this is the item code that is generated. This is auto-generated by the system. So there it is, and this is what you'll get, or this is the impact of clicking this save item button. So still under product, it's also worth mentioning about a scenario whereby you have a variance. So how are variants handled? So in this case, this is another product, it's a pencil. So notice that in the general tab, I do not have the cost of this product. Why is that the case? Because this is just the general product, but the product has specific variants. We can see that we have variants based on the brand, where we have the 2Bs and the 3Bs. So how am I able to fill in those eTIMS details relating to these variants? What I need to do is to click on this smart button. We have the variants smart button over here. So I'll click there, and then I'm able to access my variants. So we can see the pencil, which is a brand 2B, and then the other one, which is brand 3B. I can see the sales price. I can see the cost. I can also see that I do not have any quantities on hand. So if I go inside one of these variants, I'm able to see more details relating to the variant, including the packaging unit, the quantity, the country of origin, and all these details. So it's also worth noting that these variants have also been registered. So saving item means that the product has been registered with eTIMS. And they will have, the variants will have different item codes. As you can see, this is item code number 15, and this other one is item code number 16. So that's it to do with the variants. So we now have our products. So we have the different types of products here, just to take you back to this particular view. So these are the products. We are now in a position to do a sale. So we can now go ahead and create a sales order. So I will go to sales. New quotation here. I'm creating a new quotation. Let's also create a customer. So let's call this customer A. Just create the customer there, and then I have now the option to add a product. I'll pick any product here. I'll pick this book. Can see that we do not have any stock at the moment, so let me just pick another one where the stock is available. Pen, for example. So there it is. Have one quantity. Just selling one when the price is 10. So I'll go ahead and confirm this quotation to make it a sales order. So after confirming the sales order, the delivery smart button appears. So I can click on the delivery just to see what we have. Tells me that the product is available, that this delivery is as a result of sales order number 13. So I will go ahead and validate this delivery. After validation, notice the yellow banner that appears. So it tells you that the invoice must be confirmed first before sending this picking. So what does this mean? With the integration between eTIMS and Odoo, we are supposed to, or you are supposed to send stock operations. So any stock operations, be it external or internal, and by external I mean deliveries and receipts. By internal I mean adjustments or maybe even scrap and any movements that might arise as a result of internal movements. So all these movements are being sent to the portal, and we will see once we go to the portal how that also reflects on that other end. So anytime you see this, it's not an error, just tells you that the pickings or the operations will be sent automatically once you send the invoice to eTIMS. So I will go back to the sales order number 13, and create an invoice. So it's a regular invoice. I will create the draft here. So there it is. Just remembered something relating to the delivery. So it's also worth mentioning. Notice that we also have a field here called eTIMS send status. It's basically also like giving you an idea of what is going on, that it's waiting for the invoice to be sent so that these stock moves can also be sent. And the stock moves you're talking about is that your stock has reduced by 1. Your stock of this product called pen has reduced by 1. So that should also reflect in the eTIMS portal. So taking you back to the invoice, let's see some of the new fields that come as a result of eTIMS. So one, we have the eTIMS payment method, right? We also have an eTIMS tab here where we have all these details: the invoice number, the receipt number, the signature, the signing time, and also the internal data. So I will go ahead and enter the payment method here. You also have the option to add the invoicing date. I'll go ahead and confirm this particular invoice. There it is. The invoice is confirmed. It's worth noting that if you create a sales order and an invoice for a product that is not registered, a yellow banner will appear here on top. If we don't register a product, then that will the system will notify you that you are yet to register the product and that you need to do that before you send this particular invoice to eTIMS. So I will create another sales order with the product that we didn't register. So I'll say it's customer A. I will add a product. We were calling it ruler 1. So there it is. We do not even have any unit in stock. I'll go ahead and confirm this. And once I do that, I will be able to go to deliveries. Let me show you what you have in deliveries. We can see that the product is not available, meaning we cannot be able to do the delivery. I'll go back to creating an invoice. So before I even create an invoice, let me just update the quantities so that we can see how deliveries are also linked to the invoices. So ruler 1, here it is. Quickly update the quantities and say that I probably have 5 of these rulers. I will apply, go back to products, and then to creation of a quotation. Okay, so here is the quotation. Go to the delivery. The product is now available. Let me just validate that. Again, the yellow banner appears. I'll go back to the sales order and to the creation of an invoice. So create a draft invoice. So here it is. We have the product there, just to confirm that this product is check. Let me save just to confirm that it has actually been registered. So let's see whether this goes through. So as we wait for that to happen, my point was that anytime you try to send an invoice, the system will give you a warning. So this is actually a scenario where we've been able to successfully register this product. If you look at the right hand, at the top right, you can see a message there telling you that the product has been successfully registered. If you look on the right, you can see the product has been successfully registered and the item code has been assigned to this particular product. So ruler 1 is registered, and any stock moves relating to this product will be reflecting in our portal. So now that we have that, I will go back to our invoices, which I can also access from accounting. So accounting, and then customers, invoices. And here is the invoice that we just created. This is the first one. So I now have the option. This is an invoice that is already confirmed. I did select the payment method. Notice that under eTIMS details, we do not have anything yet because we are yet to send this invoice to eTIMS. So I will click send and print. And then I will click send and print to eTIMS. Yeah, so we are now waiting for the transmission of this invoice to eTIMS. Yeah, so as that happens, okay, all right, as that happens, so the invoice has gone through to eTIMS. Notice that the eTIMS details have been populated. Let me just zoom in so that you can see this even better. So you can see that on the right, we have the invoice. We have the invoice number, invoice KRA, CU something, and then stroke 7. So this KRA and then all these details, this is the device number that was given to you, or that is given to you when you do the initialization. And then the 7 is the sequencing. So we'll have 7, 8, all the way depending on the number of invoices that you are doing. So this is one example of a sales flow whereby we've been able to create a quotation, confirm the quotation, do a delivery, create an invoice, confirm the invoice, and even go ahead and send the invoice to eTIMS. Just to do away with this, let me also zoom again in case it's not so clear. So again, when I just do that, so we have on the eTIMS tab the invoice number, the receipt number. It's worth noting that this QR code, just to confirm the authenticity of this particular invoice, you can be able to scan it and you'll be able to see all the details relating to this particular transaction. Also, using this number, the KRA CU03 and all that, you can go to the iTax portal, and once you go to the iTax portal, you can be able to input this number and it will be able to give you more details relating to this particular invoice. Just give you some time to go through it, and just give me a few minutes break and we will be able to resume. All right, I think we are now back. Apologies for that. I was moving my view so on the right so that you're able to see more details relating to the invoice. Okay, so I think I'll have to go to inventory again just to show you the details relating to the products. So I'll take you to products again, and then I'll go to one of these products, which is the book. I'll take you to accounting, the accounting tab. So in the accounting tab, you can see the KRA eTIMS details. I think they are clear now. You're able to see the packaging unit, the packaging quantity, the country of origin, the type of the product, and also the item code that is auto-populated when you save the product. So also we have the product category, and we have so many of them, and it's up to you to choose whichever is applicable for the product that you are creating. The cost, this was clear, it was not blocked by my view. So I will also go back to the invoice to also show you the invoice details. So let me go to one of the invoices where we've been able to send to eTIMS. I think here it is. Let me check it again. Not paid. I think it should be this one. If it's not this one, we can check. Yeah, so this is the invoice which we've created from a sales order. We've been able to send these details to eTIMS, and I will take you again to the eTIMS tab. You can see that we have the invoice number, we have the receipt number, the signature, and all these details. And I was saying that you can be able to scan the QR code and confirm the authenticity or to get more details relating to this particular transaction. Let me also just zoom a bit so that you're able to see those details even better. We'll do that. So that's what we have, and that's basically a typical sales flow. Notice that once the invoice is sent to eTIMS, something also happens to the delivery that is linked to this invoice. So I'll take you to the inventory application, operations, and then deliveries, just to see one of the deliveries that we did. So here it is. Let me check whether it's the right one. Just a moment. So I'll take you back to sales. And then this is the latest one. So just to confirm that the invoice has actually been sent to eTIMS. So let me confirm the specific. It was this one. Back to invoices. Yeah, so here it is. So I will go to the delivery linked to this sales order just to see what we have. So notice that now the eTIMS send status has changed from waiting for invoice to send. So this is what I meant by stock moves being sent to eTIMS once you send the invoice. And just to see how that reflects in the portal, I will now switch to my portal so that I can give you that view as well. So here it is. So let me look at my receipts here. We log in again. So this is the eTIMS port. So this is the other end. We want to see how whatever it is that we are doing on the database is reflecting on the portal. Yeah, so here it is, invoice number 7. The sales date is today. This is what we've just done right now. There is the taxpayer. So the taxpayer is your company name. We have the receipt type. This is an invoice. We have the total items in that particular invoice. In our case, it was just one item. And then you're able to see the total taxable amount and also the VAT amount, which is 1.38, giving us a total amount of 10. Again, I can just go back to this particular menu and to show you also the visualization of these sales transactions that we are doing. We can see that today, this is what we've just done. We've made a sale of 10 shillings. So this is how, I would say, a perfect example to show you how Odoo is connected to eTIMS in such a way that whatever it is you do in the database is also reflecting here. Okay, so going back to the database, also we did also talk about stock moves. So how do stock moves reflect in the portal? I will show you using this portal. So we have several menu items in this particular portal. So let me log into this as well. Yeah, so this is what we have. We have the stock management menu, where you're able to see your opening stock, your closing stock. Of course, this is available in the Odoo database, but it gives you an idea of how the moves are being recorded in the portal as well. So we're able to see the item code. Again, this is where the item code also becomes important. It is the code that, one of the codes that KRA is using to identify the products that you have. We have the code, we have the name, the opening stock, the closing stock, and even the moves. You're able to see if I go to the stock moves menu and me backdate a bit and search this. So you can see these are the stock moves that have happened in this particular portal. You can see the item code, the product, the finished product. Here we have -10. In another product here we have just 2 items, and you are able to know whether it's a raw material or even a finished product. So I think by that we're able to see how the features in Odoo are able to reflect or to relate to the features that we have in the eTIMS portal. So at this point, it's also worth mentioning that, so notice that this is a production portal, this is an actual portal, and we are supposed to have the stock management menu in this particular portal. So that's an issue that KRA has also noticed, and it is actually working on it, and as soon as they resolve the issue, we'll also be able to communicate with our clients, or it will also be able to reflect in your portal. So that's it to do with sales. We can also see how this also works for purchases. We will have different scenarios. Allow me to take you to accounting, so I can just type bills or just go to accounting and then to vendors. So whenever we are doing purchases, we're interacting with vendors. So that's why I go to accounting and then vendors and then to bills. So under bills, I'm able to see these are the different bills that I've created, but there is one bill here that is in draft. So just to give a bit of context on what I'm trying to demonstrate is that with this integration, Odoo is able to fetch vendor bills, or in this case, invoice suppliers. Vendor bills are invoice suppliers. Odoo is able to fetch invoice suppliers from the eTIMS portal as long as your vendor entered the correct details. By correct details, I mean they need to have entered your KRA PIN in the invoices. So again, it means that they're also using eTIMS. They could be using different solution of eTIMS, but as long as they're using eTIMS, then the connection is there, and you can be able to fetch these invoices and be able to connect the invoices to an existing purchase order if you have already created it. If you've not created it, then you can create one from the bill that was fetched. So just to show you how that works, so I'll click this one here. One of the bills that is in draft. So notice on the right section here on the top right, we can see on the charter saying that the product this could not be matched with this, and it's also so how does this work? The fetching, how does this work? It tries the supplier invoice has your details, and it also has the products that you purchased. So what will happen is that if you already have this vendor in your database, then Odoo will just connect the invoice or the details in the invoice to the existing contact in your database. If this contact or if this supplier is not created in your database, then Odoo automatically creates that vendor and adds all the details relating to that vendor as they were fetched from the vendor bill. So this is a case where the vendor was fetched with the name and the KRA pin there. Also, this is a scenario where the product that was fetched from the invoice is not yet created. By this point, it had not yet been created. So in such a scenario, Odoo will just add the label to the vendor bill, and then it's up to you to create the product and add the right details relating to that particular product. So in this case, I have not created a purchase order, so I can just go ahead and click create purchase order. Okay, so to the unit of measure, that it's units. So please make sure that you have a product. Okay, so let's have the product here, or just to see a ruler, see whether we have it. So in this case, we already have it there. Let me save that, or let me also make sure that we have the right tax that was subject to this purchase. In this case, I'll add the 16% VAT. And also, let me also just manually save that to be on the safe side. So at this point, notice that we have two, I would say, statements in this yellow banner. One saying that a method is required when confirming a purchase. So you need to enter the payment method relating to this particular purchase. So I'll say it's cash in this case. Once I do that, one of the statements in the banner will disappear, as you can see. And also it says that the received quantities and vendor bill do not respond. So this is because we're yet to even create a purchase order. So I need to do that. I'll click create purchase order. Notice that the system automatically populates all these details. You can see this has happened just now. So I will confirm this. Confirming, I can even go ahead and notice that the receipt smart button did appear. So I click on receipts and I'm able to validate the receipt of this product. Again, the eTIMS send status does appear, telling you that it's waiting for you to send this bill or to confirm this bill so that these stock movements can be sent to eTIMS. Okay, so having done that, I will go back to the purchase order and then eventually to the bill. So here it is. Can now go ahead and confirm. So notice that in the eTIMS details tab, we do not have, just have the invoice number. It says 0, so there's nothing there so far. So I go ahead and confirm this bill. Can even register payment, and I can also go ahead and send this bill to eTIMS. So I'll click send and so let's see what we get. So basically the expectation when you click that option is that it should tell you that the vendor bill or this purchase has been confirmed in eTIMS. So that is a message that appears in the charter section and you'll be able to see it. That is if your sending to eTIMS was successful. In case an error arises, no issue. It should be no cause of alarm. You can just leave it as it is, and then you can try again later, as has happened right now. So just to show you one scenario where the bill has actually been confirmed. So let me check that. Yeah, so this is a scenario where the bill was fetched. So you can see the bill was fetched. So anytime you see these details here in the charter section and they are connected to the Odoo bot, this gives you an idea that these bills were fetched from eTIMS. And there's also a certain report here that is attached. That's a bit technical, but what we're interested in is that the purchase confirmation has been done on eTIMS. So this is what you expect anytime you click send to eTIMS relating to vendor bills. And on the eTIMS tab, whenever that confirmation happens, you're able to see the invoice number linked to this particular transaction. So this is the invoice number relating to the supplier. In Odoo, as you are aware, for bills, for invoices from suppliers, we call them bills, but under eTIMS, both invoices from sales and suppliers are being referred to as invoices. So as long as you know that difference, then I believe it won't be confusing at all. So up until this point, we've been able to review the sales flow. We've created a quotation. We started by creating products. We even successfully registered those products and saw how they reflect in the portal. We did a delivery. We saw the field that has been introduced in deliveries relating to the sales that we do. And we've also been able to fetch bills, not actually fetch, but show you how the fetching is supposed to work. And so this fetching, I think it's also worth mentioning that this fetching happens automatically as a result of scheduled actions in the system. So it's not something that you have to worry about. So the system automatically fetches these details. And the caveat is as long as the supplier entered your details and as long as they are using eTIMS. Okay, so having said that, it's also worth reviewing the invoice just to see what we have in the invoice. So again, just take you back to the invoice. This is one of the invoices. So now that we have eTIMS in Odoo, there are certain differences that, or there are certain changes that have arisen to the sequencing of invoices. In a scenario whereby you have multi-branch, then you will have independent sequencing. Just to give some context, before when you had multi-branch, if I created invoice 001 in one branch and go to the other branch and create another invoice, it would have taken the sequence 002, and then that continues, meaning that the sequencing of invoices was not independent before. But now, once in a multi-branch situation, the sequencing of invoices will be independent because, as we also mentioned, the initialization of branches is also independent, meaning that if you have a company and several branches, you have to initialize not only for the main company, but also for the branches. So having that out of the way and talking about initialization of branches, there is also still on branches, multi-branch. I think that's important because it's a common business occurrence where you have the main company and branches. So if I go to branches, you see that I also have the option to populate these branches from KRA. So how does this work and what does this even mean? So what you are required to do is that you're supposed to register your branches in the portal. So this is the assumption that you are creating a new database and you are also have branches. So you will register your company in the portal, you will give details of the main company, you will give details of the branches, and then when I come here and click populate from KRA, then these details are fetched from KRA. Because as we said, branches are treated as independent entities. They have independent serial numbers, they have independent branch IDs, and it is therefore important to note that you can be able to populate this and fill in the details relating to that branch. So why is this important? Once, of course, since they are branches, it's one legal entity, meaning they will share the same KRA PIN, but then the branch code will be different. And we say that it's the branch code that is able to give you the serial number. And now with the serial number, you can be able to initialize that branch independently. Or I will go to one of these branches just to have that out of the way. So this is Nakuru branch. I will go to general settings. And again, if I go to accounting and type eTIMS, can see that these details are different from details that I'll find in another branch. I think it's also important to mention that when you register these branches in the portal, KRA does send you a unit ID. So the unit ID, you can also fill it here, but then you do not get a CMC key. But then when you click on the initialize smart button, the CMC key is automatically populated. So that's unique to branches, where you will get an SMS with the unit ID. So they won't call it the unit ID. I think they'll call it the branch ID. But then it's the unit ID that you can fill here, that you can fill in here, and click initialize. And then the initialization becomes a success. So moving away from branches, multi-branches, another scenario is the multi-company scenario. So still on companies. So in my database, I just have one company. So you can have many companies. And this is just to repeat what we said when beginning. The initialization, of course, for the companies will also be different. So they'll have different sequences. I think that's obvious. They'll have different branch codes. Yeah, so just so that we get out of that out of the way. And then we were in the purchase flow. So in the purchase flow, it's also this aspect of fetching is also applicable to imports. So the purchases that we've handled relate to local purchases, right? But assume a scenario whereby you are doing imports. So how does that work? Odoo is also able to fetch these details from the KRA customs system. We call it the Integrated Customs Management System, ICMS. So this system is able to send these details to Odoo, and those details can be found here. So allow me to go back to the main company, and then counting, sorry, not accounting, but custom imports. So remember that for bills, we fetched them from vendors and then bills. So this is where you're able to see the bills that have been fetched, and you can do what we did. But then for imports, the concept is the same. You will find the fetched imports here, and then you can now be able to connect them to purchases and proceed with any other transaction. That is the deliveries or the receipts and any payment in case you need to do that, and actually also sending the invoice to eTIMS. So I believe up until that point, we've been able to cover the major flows relating to eTIMS. We've been able to talk about the initialization, the new features that have been introduced as a result of eTIMS. We've gone through the sales flow, the purchase flow. Also, something else. So under accounting, so if I take you to invoices, notice that you also have the option, or in businesses, invoices can also be reversed, and that is what we call credit notes. So with credit notes, and now that you have the integration with eTIMS, when creating a credit note, you have to give a reason as to why you are doing that reversal. So we have in the eTIMS tab, you are supposed to give a reason as to, so these are some of the reasons that we have here. And so can pick any. Again, these have been fetched from, or they are here as a result of the integration. We did not create them, so they are just there. You do not have to add new ones. Just pick one of them, and you can proceed with the reversal. It's also worth noting that, for example, in an invoice of 5 quantities, I cannot reverse 6 quantities. The system will give you an error that you, of course, cannot reverse more than was in the initial invoice, because most of the times a credit note is linked to a particular invoice. So that's it to do with the demonstration. I believe you've been asking questions in the chat section or in the live chat. I will take some time to go through them and respond to the questions that you can be able to do that. Okay. So there's also the question of a product of type service. That's actually a very good question. So I will go to inventory. So in Odoo, so we have, let me go to product and then new product. So when creating a new product, we have 3 product types. We have the storable product, we have the consumable, and we also have a service. So services, a consumable product could be a tangible product, but you do not need to track it in the inventory, right? This could be the consumables you have maybe in your kitchen, for example, the sugar, the coffee. Storable products, For example, the book that we just sold, I need to know how many books I have in my stock. That is the meaning of storable products. And then services, these are the intangibles. I could be offering services, for example, software implementation. That's a service. So first of all, with services, there are no stock movements relating to services, right? They're intangibles. So anything that we've talked about stock movements, then that is not applicable to services. But then that does not mean that a service does not have a cost. So we have to fill in the cost, for example. Can also fill in the sales price. And then if I go to accounting, again, I have this. So we have so many options here. There is one for services. I guess you can choose this, for example, right? Here I can just say it's one. Services, maybe they are not countable. Can also say that this is Kenya, for example, and the product is a service. Then here you can enter the category that relates to services. So maybe let me just pick this and see what we get. And I'll give this the name software implementation. Right? So we have the service there. So it's a product of type service. We have the sales price, we have the cost, and we also have all these details here. So let's see what happens when we try to save this item. So again, the concept is the same. It will generate a KRA item code that is used to identify that product on the other side, which is the portal as we saw. So let's wait for this to save. Again, as we said, anytime there is an error, it should be no cause of alarm, as it has happened. This is something that KRA is aware of, and they are working to improve this particular or these systems. But that is the only difference between goods and services. So the only difference is that no stock moves, so you won't have a delivery, and therefore your sending of the invoice to eTIMS is not dependent on a delivery because it does not exist. Yes, so maybe more questions. I think we can check on YouTube. Let me do that to see what we have in the live chat. Just a moment. Okay. So I'll scroll from the top. In case a down payment which eTIMS, if we integrate. Okay. So let me add. Yeah. So Raj Gami. So are the eTIMS modules available for free? Yes, they are available for free. So as long as you have the subscription with Odoo, then you can be able to access all our modules. Again, from Danny, are these available for all versions? That's a good question. Right now, eTIMS is available from 17.0 to 17.2. Again, to another question. So it will also be available in future versions. Yeah, we do not limit it to just 17.2. We'll go to another question with this integration. Yes, Karan, you are okay in answering that question. Me also, okay. How soon will the POS integration be made available? That's a good question. So what you notice is that the flow that I took you through relates to sales. When it comes to the POS, it is still work in progress. We are working to integrate POS operations to eTIMS. We have workarounds, but we are yet to actually perfect on those flows. So as soon as our workarounds work in a logical way, we will be able to offer that solution to our customers or to our clients as we look for a more long-term or to a long-term solution. Let me check any other questions. Okay, so some of these questions, I can actually see that they've been answered. Maybe I go to the bottom. why is the okay. So George Kimani, so why is the cost price mandatory to fill? Yeah, so I would say this is one of the requirements by KRA, that the cost needs to be there for you to be able to register that product. And what we see is that the cost is also, or these details are reflecting in the eTIMS portal. So I would say it's just a requirement by KRA. And if you don't feel that when sending the invoice to eTIMS, it will give you that error that you're supposed to fill in the cost. So Timothy, let me check. So Patricia, I think I've addressed the question of the workflow with the POS. So Timothy, handle the unique tax rules and the regulations specific to Kenya, such as VAT exemptions. Yeah, so for VAT exemptions, so this, even before we talk about this integration to eTIMS, you can be able to, we have different types, or we have different tax brackets. For example, for VAT, we have, just to also take you to the database. So let me do that right now. Okay, so we have different tax brackets. So we have the zero, we have the exempt one. So if it's exempt, just to get that out of the way, I'll take you to taxes, and then 16% VAT, for example. So you can see this is 16% VAT on sales. I needed to take you to the tax groups. So see what we have. We have the 16%, we have the 8%, we have 0%, we have the withholding tax as well. We also have exempt. I think another way to demonstrate that is by going to, let me check something here, and group this by code type. So let's see whether we have that here. No, this is not the right one. Taxation type. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So we have exempt. These are actually codes that have been introduced as a result of the integration with eTIMS. We have exempt, we have the standard rated, 0 rated, 8%, non-VAT. So these are codes that are being used in the system to also inform eTIMS of the type of tax that is applicable to whichever transaction we are talking about. So still on the questions, so how do you install the eTIMS modules? Yeah, that we did in the start of this demonstration. You need to go to the apps application or the apps or module in Odoo, and then just search eTIMS. We said if you do not find it, if you do not find that module, you have to update your apps list. You have to click here, update, and then they will appear. Again, updating is one thing, and then finding them is another thing. So you also have to search eTIMS and do away with this apps filter. So I think that's it to do with how you find them. So let me go through more questions. For service, I think we've addressed that. Okay, seems we need to map customer flows. This is, could you please cover flow for services? Yeah, so we are not also, what if you are not using? So if you're not using the sales and purchase module, I think the other option is the POS. Also, I think that's a good question. It has also introduced another aspect of, it has introduced the aspect of creating invoices without creating sales orders. So sometimes I'm sure that happens in businesses. But in this case, with this integration, it is advisable. The recommended sales flow is that you create a quotation, you confirm the quotation, you do the delivery, and then you create the invoice and then send to eTIMS. So probably if you feel that the delivery might delay, you can just pause the sending of that invoice to eTIMS until you do the delivery, and then you can now send, because the system won't allow you to send without confirming the delivery. So think we've addressed most of these questions. Let me see whether there is anything that I'm missing. Okay, we already registered in eTIMS. How do we convert that? Okay, another good question by Travel and Cruise Tips. So we already registered in eTIMS online registration. How do we convert that? Yeah, so as we said, we have different eTIMS solutions, eCitizen and so many others. So the advice or the word that you have from KRA is that you're supposed to inform them of your intention to transition from one solution to another. The reason is so that they can deactivate one and activate now this solution we are calling CSU. So you have to reach out to them, inform them of your intention to transition, and that is also a seamless process. We've done it, and it shouldn't cause any lags, I would say, in your business operations. So also talking about that, there are those who would also like to move from Teams to eTIMS. The procedure is the same. You have to inform KRA of your intentions to move from Teams to eTIMS. They have their contacts online, eTIMS support, and they would say they are quite responsive. So just reach out and then they'll guide you on how to go about that transition from a Teams device to eTIMS, and in this case, the integration. Okay, so are there instances where an invoice may not be sending, and in such a case? Yeah, so that happens sometimes. The last question, some instances where you might get an error when trying to send an invoice to eTIMS. So it does happen sometimes, but then just need to give it some time. So you also need to confirm in the portal whether that transaction has reflected, because we've had instances where a transaction, okay, you get that error in the database, but then the transaction actually reflects in the portal. So just to show you how to go about that, let me go back to the portal. So in such a scenario where you get an error sending, just to make sure that it has not reflected in the portal, you can just come here and check. If it has, then you can even be able to get the details relating to that particular invoice. And how that happens is that I will go to my receipts. Let me just log in again and see the transactions. So this view will show me the transactions that we've done today and have already remitted to the portal. So I can see the invoice number, the receipt number. So this is what we're interested in. So I'll click on this. Notice that it's connected to a link. So I'll click here and I'm able to see the details relating to that particular invoice. So in case you get that error, just go to the portal. If it has reflected in the portal, come to the receipts section and you'll be able to see the details relating to that particular transaction. And finally, as we close, okay, is there cron job? Okay, in case of invalid number, is there restrict? Okay, so the invalid number question by Karan, it's not so clear. So maybe you can reach out to us later and we can be able to understand your question in detail and respond accordingly. So having having addressed most, if not all of these questions, I think it's at this point that we get to end this webinar. I appreciate your time and your participation in this particular webinar. In case there is anything that you've missed, please feel free to reach out. Our salespeople and also our business analysts will be able to address any questions that you might have relating to this integration. That's it from my end. Again, thank you for your time and thank you for also being active participants. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.